the Must-See Film Club.
Okay, so let's start with the opening image of this film. It's one of the most famous in cinema history. We're looking down at a dead man floating face down in a swimming pool.
And then the voiceover kicks in. But it's not a detective. It's not an observer. It's him. The dead man starts narrating his own murder.
It's completely audacious. Right from the first frame, Billy Wilder tells you this isn't just a crime story. This is a story from beyond the grave, told by someone who's already been chewed up and spit out by Hollywood.
Exactly. The narrator, Joe Gillis, is a cynical, broke screenwriter. And the film is his flashback, explaining how he ended up as, in his words, the forgotten man. It sets up this incredible sense of fatalism. We know how it ends, but the journey there is just a horrifying descent.
It's maybe the most scathing look Hollywood ever took at itself, and it does it by starting with the final consequence: a body in a pool on Sunset Boulevard. To understand why this film was so shocking in 1950, you have to understand what was happening to the industry. The golden age was ending. The whole foundation of the studio system was cracking.
It really was. The biggest blow came just 2 years earlier, in 1948, with the United States versus Paramount Pictures Supreme Court decision.
Wait, the antitrust case, right? The one that broke everything apart?
Completely. It forced the major studios to sell off their movie theaters. It ended practices like block booking, where they forced theaters to buy a whole slate of films just to get the one big hit. The entire business model that had run Hollywood for decades was dismantled almost overnight.
So you have this massive economic uncertainty. The rise of television is starting to loom, and there's this feeling that the party is over. It reminds me of the self-reflection we saw in The Bad and the Beautiful, but Wilder's take is so much more acidic.
It's not just ascetic, it's a post-mortem. Wilder is basically performing an autopsy on the Hollywood dream. He's saying, look at the rot underneath the glamour. And he does this by focusing on Norma Desmond, a relic of a bygone era, the silent film era, who is literally haunting a mansion just off the famous boulevard.
And she's not just any relic. She's a star who couldn't make the transition to sound, which we saw satirized so beautifully in Singing in the Rain. But this is the dark, tragic version of that story. This is what happens when you don't learn to sing in the rain. On the surface, it has all the classic film noir ingredients. You've got the cynical anti-hero, Joe Gillis.
The femme fatale, Norma Desmond, who is this vortex of obsession and danger. The first-person, world-weary narration. The dramatic chiaroscuro lighting, contrasting the bright LA sun with the gothic darkness of Norma's decaying mansion.
Yeah, and Wilder was a master of noir. He'd already set the template with Double Indemnity 6 years earlier. But this film feels different. It transcends the genre.
Totally. Gradesaver points this out, calling it a blend of noir, melodrama, satire, and even dark comedy. It's this hybrid thing that uses the noir framework to critique the industry itself. The real villain isn't a person, it's the system.
And the horror elements are undeniable. One review called it a story where fame rots into madness. Norma's mansion is essentially a haunted house, filled with ghosts of her past glory. It's like a Miss Havisham character, surrounded by thousands of photos of herself.
Oh, for sure. The setting is pure Gothic horror. This opulent, decaying palace with a devoted, mysterious butler, Max, who silently enables her delusion. And Franz Waxman's score, it's incredible. It weaves in themes of passion, madness, and decay. It doesn't sound like a typical crime film. It sounds like an opera of a mind collapsing.
It's a psychological noir. The mystery isn't who done it. We know that from the start. The mystery is why. What system, what dream factory could create a monster this tragic?
And that brings us to the core strategic critique of the film. It's an exposé of what the writing studio calls the Hollywood star machinery. The studio system wasn't just making films, it was manufacturing celebrities.
Exactly. Stars were assets, commodities. And Norma Desmond is presented as a victim of that machinery. Her entire identity, her reason for being, was tied to the adoration of an audience that the studios curated for her. When the system moved on, she was abandoned, left with nothing but her own myth.
She is, as one analysis put it, one of Hollywood's most bizarre human artifacts, a product left on the shelf to decay, which is made so much more powerful by the casting. This is the meta-genius of the film.
Okay, the casting is just brilliant. Gloria Swanson, who plays Norma, was one of the biggest silent film stars in the world. Her career had also faded with the coming of sound. She hadn't made a major film in years.
So when Norma watches her old movies in her private theater, she's watching actual Gloria Swanson movies. The line between the character and the actress is almost non-existent. It's chillingly real.
And it doesn't stop there. Her butler, Max von Meyerling, is played by Erich von Stroheim. He was a legendary and notoriously difficult silent film director who had actually directed Gloria Swanson in a film that was never finished. And in Sunset Boulevard, he plays her ex-husband and the director who discovered her.
Wait, even the Waxworks, her bridge partners? They were real silent stars too, right? Like Buster Keaton.
Yes, he cast actual faded stars as the Waxworks. Wilder is holding up a mirror to Hollywood and populating it with its own ghosts. He's showing that the industry treats people as disposable commodities. And the line, "I am big, it's the pictures that got small," isn't just a delusion. It's an indictment of an industry that discards its creators.
So here's the central tension of the film. How are we supposed to see Norma Desmond? Is she a monster who devours a young writer? Or is she the ultimate victim of a cruel system?
I mean, the film gives you evidence for both. She's manipulative, narcissistic, and her obsession leads directly to murder. She traps Joe Gillis, turning him into a toy boy, as one review put it. She is, in many ways, a classic noir femme fatale.
But at the same time, everything she is was created by Hollywood. Max, her butler, reveals he's been forging all her fan mail for years just to protect her from the truth that she's been forgotten. He perpetuates the fantasy because the reality is too cruel to bear.
So, is she responsible for her delusion, or is the industry that fed it to her for decades and then cut her off responsible? The film portrays Hollywood as this evil, oppressive empire that creates and then destroys its biggest stars.
The Guardian review praises it perfectly, asking if Hollywood has ever looked more glorious or more tragic. It's both. Norma is this quiet specter of a past era, but she's also a terrifying force of destruction. Her tragedy is that she can't distinguish between the performance and the self.
Yeah, good point. She's not just a person. She's an idea, the embodiment of fame's double-edged sword. She's what happens when the applause stops and you're left alone in a dark room with just the echoes.
What's incredible is that this film is over 75 years old, but its themes feel completely contemporary. The critique of celebrity culture, the obsession with youth, the transactional nature of fame, it's all still here.
Absolutely. The film broke a taboo by even suggesting that stars age and fade. The Washington Post noted that. It was a truth everyone in the industry knew, but no one dared say out loud on screen. That subversive honesty is why it endures.
It received 11 Oscar nominations, and in 1989, it was one of the first 25 films selected for preservation in the National Film Registry. Its status as one of Hollywood's greatest films is undisputed, but its legacy is more than just accolades.
It really is. It created a blueprint for stories about the dark side of Hollywood. Every film or show about a desperate, aging performer living in the past owes something to Norma Desmond. It's a funeral elegy for old Hollywood that somehow never gets old itself.
And it all comes down to that final scene, which is just one of the most haunting endings ever filmed. She's murdered Joe. The police and news cameras are all there. But in her broken mind, she believes she's finally filming her comeback movie.
Max, her enabler to the very end, pretends to direct her, calling for
Lights, cameras, action!
and she descends that grand staircase, lost in her fantasy, looks directly into the news camera, the lens of her destruction and her salvation, and delivers that iconic line.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
She's completely insane, but she's also, finally, back in the spotlight. The product is performing its function one last time. It's a perfect, devastating ending.